That's not our people. All right, and how they used some serum to cure the white people, the so-called white people.
Most of them are our people. Those West Africa.
Yeah.
That was targeted to Israel.
Yeah.
That was targeted on Israel. Okay.
Yeah.
They seen how that works on Israel, man. It could have happened anywhere in Africa, but that area that the epidemic is where mostly Israel is.
Yeah, well,
because the guy Duncan, that don't sound like he foo-foo, you know?
No. Well, if you see him, that's the thing. They didn't show pictures like that in the production. They were showing individuals with plating their lips and and those are not our people. You know, if they're the ones dying from the Ebola, those are not our people. Now, just like Apostle Elatar said, you got Israelites that live in Africa, but the pictures they were showing in the production was heathens, straight up heathens. You know, African. But the point is, he was making a distinction between so-called white people and so-called black people. How, showing racism. How the so-called white man and his woman got cured from Ebola, but the other, which totally, doesn't. He's not showing the gravity of what this thing is really about. You know.
And can I say something? And like I said, this Ebola thing. Which we're gonna go into another topic. Yeah, right. With Columbus, that's a whole nother thing we're gonna get into. But another pestilence that came over here, pretty much. That was the opening door to you so-called white people, which was since you've been here for the past 500 years, you've been nothing but a goddamn living, breathing pestilence, a plague, right? That's what you are. But anyways. Back to the Ebola thing, you guys, you other Israelite groups like Nate, which now Nate, you scratching the surface of it, you touching on it. That's only because you see us going into it, and then you see us getting for real on the news. But the rest of them groups outside of Nate going into it, Johanna and you House of David jokers, you know what I mean? All you other guys, you playing games. Like I said, y'all in the mentality of you guys don't really believe in this truth. You're using the truth as a cloak of maliciousness, and you're using it as a way to get some kind of bullshit little vainglory and fame. Here it is. We out there speaking, man, on the camps. The other GMS camps brothers is out there on the street speaking. We doing these shows. We doing the studio show here. You got other brothers putting shows out constantly, going into these prophecies, man, and it's happening right in front of your face. Meanwhile, you guys want to get together in D.C. and have meetings and Israelite conferences and talk about having picnics with your wife and kids and playing all these goddamn games and shit, walking around with turbans on, thinking it's a joke. Having cookouts and barbecues, worried about getting matching T-shirts and all this bullshit.
You know what they should do? They should just get their garments on and crash, costume parties, you know?
Yeah. But meanwhile, this Ebola thing is getting serious. Now, the brother, Apostle Cabal, read that article of what they did in China. What they suspected one person had a plague, and they shut down the whole city. So imagine now, if they suspect, they say, well, look, we think this Ebola virus is struck out right here in Manhattan. We shutting down all of New York City. And when I say New York, I'm talking about all the 5 boroughs, man. Bronx, Staten Island, the Bronx. And then they even say, well, you know what, Long Island too. Because Long Island and Brooklyn and Queens is all on the same landmass. So if they shut down Brooklyn, they got to quarantine Long Island. Yeah. And they just, nobody comes out, nobody goes in. That's what's going to happen, like an I Am Legend. Like Apostle Tahar said, you better go back and watch them movies, man. That virus broke out, and then that movie, which, you know what? Well, it's really the Most High's bidding. But
let me say this: they quarantined the whole Manhattan, the whole island of Manhattan, because they showed all the bridges being blown.
That's right.
And they showed one bridge, I think a helicopter hit it, but actually later in the movie, because it kept going back in time, he kept having flashbacks, and they would show behind him or in front of him, to the side, one of the bridges of Manhattan being blown up, because they quarantined the people. The people that had that virus or that plague on them. Yeah. What they did was, and they also showed you too, when they went to escape, And what they did was they deemed everybody having that plague, and they checked their temperatures with that same gun that they use right now. Yeah. And his wife, she didn't pass, and he said, look, check her again. Because they had the military, notice they had the military checking them. They didn't have doctors, they had the military checking them out. So what we saw in the movies a couple of years ago, we're actually seeing in real life. Yeah. You know?
Oh, another point too. In that movie, right? It may seem like a trivial point. The gas prices were exuberant.
It was above $6.
It was
It was one scene. It was above $6.49 or whatever, almost $7.
It was crazy. And then another thing. This is just a little footnote. It was a movie clipping, Batman Superman movie. Now that movie's actually about to come out.
And it was a joke to us when you saw it. That was like a joke that would never happen. But they're actually coming out with a movie. Yep. They're in the works of that, putting that movie together right now. Okay, so Esau shows you in the movies years before it happens what they're planning on doing. Yeah, you know, in a cryptic fashion.
Yeah, and basically this Ebola thing. You damn devils! The so-called white man came up with that thing. You come up with them diseases, man. Yeah, so you use Africa as a smokescreen. Well, down in where is in Atlanta, the Center for Disease Control. Listen to the name. If you're curing something, it would be the Center for Disease Cure. It's the Center for Disease Control, meaning they control the diseases: AIDS, cancer.
They have patents on certain strains of the Ebola thing.
This Ebola thing. Because check it out, man, because cancer is funny. Back in the 80s when you had the AIDS, the early 80s, you never heard about AIDS until Rock Hudson died from the shit. And because I remember, I was a kid. I remember the shit.
Rock Hudson got rocked.
Yeah, he was a faggot. But
he got rocked more ways than once. He got rocked, then the Most High rocked him.
Yeah. Now, he was a faggot, but that was the early 80s. And I remember seeing it on the news. It was a big thing. And they said, Rock Hudson has died from AIDS. And then everybody was like, what the fuck is AIDS? AIDS, what's that? Then all of a sudden, boom, it was a big thing. That was the big scare in the 80s, man. The AIDS. Wear condoms. AIDS. But then they said, nah, but you can get it from needles. The AIDS, right? And back in them days, if you caught the AIDS, you would drop dead in 6 months. You would drop dead. Easy.
Yeah, if I may, they were taking the so-called cure for the AIDS, and that's really what was killing those people. The cocktail. Yeah, the cocktail that was the cure to AIDS. Yeah, that was the cure to AIDS, was death. That's what they didn't tell the people, because they would take some kind of a vaccine or cure, and that's another thing with Nate. That's what I mean by he didn't bring the gravity of it. That's what he was trying to show. He was about Rock Hudson being a so-called white man. When he received the so-called cure, that's when the AIDS was because it affected the white man. Yeah. But the thing is that these so-called vaccinations, those are the things that really kill you, which shows you Nate. He doesn't have a grip. He doesn't really have a grip on these geopolitic subjects. He tries to wing it. That's why we've been calling him what the wing it master. The wing master. He doesn't understand what he's going into. Because he sees us doing it, and he thinks he can parrot us. So he brings up these different articles, but he doesn't know what the hell is going on. Yeah, the spirit ain't with him to really put it together.
He's a student with a professor.
Yeah, the spirit ain't really with him.
Teach the professor.
That's right. Hey, the spirit ain't really with him to put it together and to filter it through the scriptures. All right, because he's trying to play the angle of the Ebola thing, white versus black. This ain't got nothing to do with so-called white people, so-called. That's it, brother. When you go back to the Georgia Guidestones, the plan is to what? Eliminate what? 6.5 billion people. All right, which he didn't go into. He doesn't understand that.
Which is part of the plan.
Which is part of the plan. You know? He doesn't understand that. All right, because I watched the video. He didn't mention that.
Yeah, I got a scripture here. This is Revelation 18:4, and it says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. Now, this right here is really talking about, this goes hand in hand with Revelation 11 and 14, I believe it is. As a matter of fact, somebody get me that, where they beamed up. We call it being beamed up. Yep. It says, Revelation 18:4, I'll read it again. It says, and I heard another a voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, which are the elect of Israel. Not all Israel, because not all Israel is going to make it. So you can't say these are my people. My people, the Lord's people at this particular time, is talking about the elect of Israel. Because not all Israel going to make it. Like Baloo. We know he ain't going to make it, you know? He ain't the Lord's people.
You ain't going to make it, man.
He got to come back on the next go-round. It says that ye be not.